How you going, people? Gonna knock out a couple videos here. It's a little windy outside. I got film in the garage here. So let's see which one we're gonna do first. How about this one on police tactics? There is there's a video floating around. I got it on Facebook. I'm not sure which one, whether it's a YouTube or not. I didn't click on it to see if it's on YouTube. But it basically is trying to imply that Israeli soldiers are tricking Palestinians to throw rocks so they can shoot them. So if you Google something like that, you're probably going to get the video. And what it shows, if you watch the video close, the video's been cut and it's been tricked to make it look like the agenda that, you know, big bad mean Israel fighting for their country is picking on the poor Palestinians who throws rocks and bombs them every day. Now, all the politics over there, I'm not sure what it is, but you know what? Israel's a small country surrounded by a bunch of freaking idiots, and I give them some slack to use whatever force they need to do to keep themselves safe. And if you want to keep attacking them when you're getting your butt beat and they come back with 10 times as much force, like I think all enemies should do, if somebody attacks you, you don't need to meet them with the same force. Hell, even cops don't have to meet you with the same force. We can meet you with more force because we have to use more force to overcome the force you're using against us. So in a war, all this rules of engagement stuff, and we got to fight friendly and reach across the aisle and use bullets that really don't hurt that much. I'm not one of those guys. I'm into devastating, destroying, and totally demoralizing my enemy. If I'm after you and you're fighting me and you're attacking me and you've caused me to defend myself, I'm going to come after you with everything I can. Because it only takes one mistake and then you may win, or you may get over on me, or I may drop my guard or miscalculate you, and next thing you know I'm losing. And I don't like losing. Especially when I'm fighting for something important, like my life, my country, etc. So, in this video, it shows the first clip to where all these, I'll say it, ragheads, because, oh, that's racist. Shut up. Get out of here. I'm tired of people protecting all these freaking idiots. You can't call them what they are. So, all these damn peaceful Muslims, who's contributed so much to the world in the last 200 years or 2,000 years, other than destroying their country, taking over, invading other countries, and destroying everything they have. All those peaceful Muslims that are always running to other countries who do good after they destroy their country with their stupid so-called religion, which is nothing more than a government philosophy that they call a religion. So dumbass liberals in the United States go, oh, well, they got religious protection, so we give them tax-free status to plan their terrorist attacks. Another thing, sorry. Gotta calm myself, oh grasshopper. So, it shows the Palestinians throwing rocks at the Israeli guards, and I'm not sure where it's at, who approached, whatever. But these guys are definitely the aggressors. And anybody that's throwing rocks at somebody with a gun, you gotta question their sanity in the first place. Okay, it's like bringing a knife to a gunfight. If you bring rocks to a gunfight, you're not the smartest guy around anyway. Maybe you deserve to be taken out of the gene pool and shot. But, so these Palestinians are throwing rocks, then the tape immediately drops, and on my copy that I saw it was at 16 seconds, and it drops and then it switches to all the people who are dressed the same way with the rags on their head and their little, plaid, whatever, jihad, aloha snack bar, whatever they're using, and then it shows them pulling guns and they're shooting at the protesters. But yet they're dressed like the protesters. So people are posting this thing saying comments about, that's entrapment. Israelis are entrapping the poor Palestine people into throwing rocks so they can shoot them. Are you kidding me? Look, police tactics, and this is kind of where I want to get to on this. Government and police and military tactics, their job is to win. Their job is to identify their adversary. It is common practice in the United States for almost all law enforcement agencies, including in the military, to put undercover officers in the middle of protesters. When you have a protest, you can almost guarantee that there are undercover officers with radios and guns roaming around. And it reminds me of in Oakland. If you go to Oakland Raiders game, it's so violent in that city. Did I say that it's mostly black in that city? Anyway, that city is so violent and so much crime and violent crime that the football team, they actually have undercover cops wearing the opposite team's jersey that's playing. And they walk around the stadium and wait for people to hit them or attack them so they can arrest them. Now, somebody's going to say, well, that's entrapment, Rick. They can't wear the other team's jersey. They should be wearing Oakland Raiders or their police uniform. Well, that's just stupid liberal ignorance. You got a mush brain and you can't think. If I'm trying to catch people at a football game who's attacking the other team's fans, then the best way to do that is to dress like the other team's fan. And when they attack me and do something, I can identify them and get them out of there. Now, in liberal land, we should want to give them counseling and we should give them money so they wouldn't have to attack us and give them free stuff and then maybe they would be nice. But in reality land, you have to remove the people who are the problem. You have to aggressively go after the problem people, and you should be protecting the honest people who are working, contributing, who are trying to do the right thing. Of course, in liberal land, it's all flipped over. The working people just get taxed to death, no protection, they're blamed for everything, it's their fault, and then the damn people who are out there doing all the shit are being protected by the liberals. So, this video, if you go watch it, these Israelis, first of all, they cut the video. The Israelis that were dressed like them, with the rags on their head, and in their little plaid uniforms, and they looked like the protesters, and they probably yelled, Aloha snack bar, whatever they're freaking yelling, in the background to blend in. They were always in the back of the crowd, and the rock throwers were up front. Then when the video was cut, all of a sudden, all the guys in the back that weren't throwing rocks is suddenly in front, and they've got guns and they're grabbing people. Now, one guy they grab, and they kind of, not to put too fine a point on it, beat the shit out of him and kicked him and wore his ass out. And I got no problem with that whatsoever. I know it's mean. I know he needs counseling. I know all the liberals who are coming here are feeling bad for the poor guy that got his ass whipped. Tough luck. I think they did fine. So they really wear this one dude out. That guy, I didn't have to be there, but that guy was one of the leaders, instigators, or was armed. Now, I don't know this for fact. I'm just telling you from my experience. That's what cops do. We want to go in to a crowd, pick out the instigators or leaders, and we need to snag them and take them out. And that's the same way with warfare. If you're in a military tactics and you see everybody saluting some guy and you know he's the officer in charge, when you kill him, and snipers are taught to kill the guy in charge or the guy on the radio, you take out their communications, you take out their leadership, you cause disarray, and you make them not as effective in their mission because you've disrupted their plans. Their plan was to follow the guy in charge, to take orders from him. The guy in charge probably knew more than everyone else. Now in the military they always tell you everybody knows everything and everybody has to be able to keep their job, and I should know the job in front of me and I should know the job behind me because if one of them gets killed, I can fill in and it doesn't affect the mission. And that's a great concept, but the people in charge always have a little bit more information that they don't necessarily tell everybody. Especially if it's a mission that is going to demoralize their people, they're going to keep it to themselves. So what the Israelis were doing was not entrapment. They weren't being unfair. They were trying to identify people who are the biggest threat. And in any confrontation or conflict, in any tactics that you know, you always want to try and break down communication supplies and take out leaders. Disrupt their ability to run their mission and their program. The Palestinians were using their tactics to come up. They had a table, they were throwing rocks, and they were running. And that was their plan and that was their tactic. Well, as soon as the cops, undercover cops, grabbed one of them and pulled out guns, they all scattered. So that kind of blew their plan. And they did not have a plan. So what did they do? They had no leadership. They had no other backup plan. They weren't really trained, so they just scattered. Guess what? Perfect. You got them to stop doing what they were doing, and you grabbed one of their leaders and you made an example. You know what that does? It causes the next person that wants to step up and be a leader to rethink. If I step into this leadership position, I'm going to be a target. No different than what the government is doing now, trying to target all these so-called freedom fighters, patriots, Tea Party, anybody with a gun, all your vets who are saying our government is out of control, they're violating the Constitution, they should be taken down, they should be taken out. All those people are considered leaders, are people inciting others to use their brain and say, we need to stop this government. But guess who the government's going to target first? They're always going to target them and make examples. If they can take down the people running their mouths, less people will run their mouths. Guess what? They disrupt communication. When you disrupt communication, if there's a revolt in this country, which there should have been already, and I got no problem when it happens, because I'm there. The government can come get me if they want, whatever. I'm there for my country and my fellow patriots. But if it happens, the first thing the government's going to do is shut down phones and internet. That's just a tactic of communication. They know people are using their phones and Facebook and social media and emails, and they're going to shut that down. Why do you think they have in the Patriot Act the ability to shut down the internet anytime? Oakland, I think it was Oakland or Bart, was shutting down phones. Shit, when I was working back in, hell, I don't know, 2005, they were shutting down phones completely in an area when they had problems on one of the BART trains or one of the BART stations. They called in, they said shut down all the phone lines, and they just shut them down and nobody had phone service. So people couldn't call and say, hey, we need some help, we got some cops here, man, we need more numbers, get everybody and come over here. Well, if you can't do that, guess what? Government has the advantage. The first thing government's going to do is shut down communication if there's any type of revolt in this country. And if people don't have a backup plan, if people don't have processes en route, because in the military and police work, if you lose communications, you have certain orders and certain things that you need to keep going until you reestablish communication. So I kind of got a little off tag here, but I mean, all tactics are the same, whether it's cops, whether it's government, whether it's government against another government, you know, a foreign enemy, whether it's government against patriots in our own country, whether it's the police against a group who is rioting, whether it's police against good groups, bad groups, whatever. No matter what it is, and Israelis, they're using the same tactics against the Palestinians who are throwing rocks and bombing them and blowing them up and doing all that crap. You know, people say walls don't work. When they built the wall, suddenly bombing stopped in Israel. Nobody wants to say that, especially not liberals, because they want to say walls don't work. But when Israel, a lot of you may not remember, they used to have people walking into bistros all the time, blowing themselves up, killing people. Well, they built that wall and they started controlling who comes in, how they stopped a lot of that. So now they have to shoot missiles over the wall. But the main focus of this, and I hope what you got out of this is, if you're in a riot situation, if you go against the government, if you go against any enemy whatsoever, either you're on the government side or against the government, there are going to be people and you want to illustrate. If I'm chasing the enemy and I'm fighting the enemy and I kill one, I'm going to collect their gear, their patches, their shirts, their boots, their hats. I may be able to use that later on in the battle to get somebody inside, to get me inside, to get in behind their lines, to do more damage, to disrupt their communication so we can attack them from a different area. Those are all basic tactics. So when I hear all these yahoos on social media, you know, claiming that the poor Palestinians are being tricked because Israeli cops put on headgear and dress like the other knuckleheads throwing rocks and blended in, that it's somehow their fault that they threw rocks. Entrapment is making somebody do something that they wouldn't normally do. Okay? If I'm a hitman and I'm undercover cop and I'm trying to get people who hire hitmen, I can't go out and walk up to people and advertise, hey man, I'm a hitman. You need a hitman? You need somebody killed? You need a... That's entrapment. Because nobody's taking the initial effort to do this. I am putting the thought in their head. I am making the service available to them. And now if they do that and they hire me, you're going to get entrapment issues. But if I just respond to somebody who goes, I need a hitman, and I as an undercover cop respond and say, I'm a hitman, what do you need? Let's meet. And then you hire me, there's no entrapment issues. You made the initial effort. So, I mean, unless the Israelis went out there and gathered up these Palestinians and said, hey, come with us. Come stand right here and throw rocks at them. Okay? And then we're going to have our guys in the back here so they can arrest you. That didn't happen. And that doesn't happen. But, so, tactics, this Aureli's video. Hopefully you got something out of that. I'll take questions on the internet or in the comments. And that there.